Welcome to the Munro Review, where it's all about sharing, connecting, and valuing the arts in the central San Joaquin Valley. I'm Donald Munro. Tonight, we are on location. We thought we would have some fun and mix it up a little. We're at Fresno State, and we have some great guests for you. We're going to start off with the Contemporary Dance Ensemble and talk about their upcoming concert. So we are here with Abigail and Sophia, and you are both starring dancers in the new Fresno State dance concert that opens on February 14th. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
You know, one thing that I'm always struck with when I learn about these concerts is how much the students, the dancers, how much input you have into what the show is going to look like. So you have actually choreographed a piece.
Yes.
And you are in 5 of 6 of the numbers. So, so I want to start off with just talking about how does that process work? Do you all brainstorm and say, I want to do this and that?
We usually go based on what the choreographer tells us to do. So sometimes they ask us dancers like, hey, can you make up 2 8 counts of choreography? And then they take a look at it and we kind of play around and mess with it. It's really collaborative a lot of the time, which is really awesome because then we all get to showcase our own personal styles.
So Sophia, if you're in 5 of 6 dances, is it hard to keep the steps straight? Is it like an actor who has a lot of lines to learn?
I guess at some points it can be, but I feel like our rehearsals are very organized in terms of where we put our minds at. Also because each piece is its own process and story and creative creation, it's easy to kind of stick to that. So
Abigail, can you walk us through that process of your own choreography? Do you pick the music first?
Yes, so for me, I really get inspired by music, and I'm really excited because the music that I chose is actually from a band from my hometown called Poor Man's Poison. They're based out of Hanford, California.
Oh, great.
And so I grew up listening to their music, and it was really cool to get to use some music that I grew up listening to not only, but is literally from my hometown where I grew up.
And can you tell us a little bit about the music and the genre?
Yeah, so the genre is like contemporary. There's a lot of changes in the music, so it starts off kind of slow and then it gets really upbeat at the end. It's really cool.
Sophia, are you in her dance?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you rank how hard her dance is compared to the other 4 you're in?
One thing that I love about Abigail's piece is that her piece looks easy and it looks simple to the eye, but when you're dancing it can really be challenging. But I feel like it's one of those pieces where you get really into the moment and really into the emotion, so it's worth it.
Now, I assume that there is kind of a range of emotions.
Yes.
Just knowing your artistic director, where does your piece rank? So you say it's like a little more emotional?
Yeah, for me, when I started building this piece, it was at a time where I was feeling in one of my lowest moments. I lost my grandfather not too long ago, and so this piece is loosely based off of that. It's about feeling at your darkest moment, and all of these dancers are all in this place, and they realize as they're dancing that they're not alone in this struggle, and so they kind of come together and help build each other up. So it's, a pretty emotional piece for me.
So some audience members are a little intimidated by dance. They kind of resist, or they're almost scared to go because they don't know exactly what they're getting into. Sophia, how do you encourage people to go to a concert like this?
I think, honestly, when you see someone on stage and they're dancing and you might think to yourself like, wow, like they're really, really good, like I could never do that. But in reality, you can do anything that you set your mind to. I started out kind of as like a hip hop background, and I didn't really get into like the modern and technique until like maybe high school or even like the beginning of college. And so when I first saw the show my freshman year, I remember seeing Abigail on stage, and I was like, wow, she's really good. And it's more so inspiring than intimidating for me, but I feel like sharing more of the joys about it and sharing more of like the highs and stuff, like it's just wonderful, honestly.
Abigail, how would you pitch this to maybe a person who had never gone to a dance concert?
Dance is one of the most amazing art forms you can watch. It's literally telling a story right in front of your eyes through movement, and I think anybody, you know, could watch something, and even if you don't understand the, you know, personal story it may have for the choreographer, you can make a story up in your head, which is so beautiful about it, and it is just really something amazing, and everyone needs to come see the show.
So tell us, what's the concert called again, and when does it play?
The concert is called Stability and Change, and it is running from February 14th through the 22nd.
And that's at the John Wright Theater at
Yes.
Fresno State. Well, thank you so much. I'll let you get back to rehearsal.
Thank you so much.
So much.
And now we're here with Kenneth Balin, who is the Artistic Director of the Contemporary Dance Ensemble at Fresno State. It's always good to talk to you, Kenneth. I know you work on this a lot of the year, this annual concert. When did the preparation start for it?
Kind of like 60 years ago.
Because
all these like for my own choreography, all these things come from ideas I've been carrying around inside, and you know, in a way, choreography is just having a voice. And then being able to share some of your background with other people. And I think that's one of the really beautiful things, because it's kind of like common ground that everyone, you know, kind of takes a step back, and there's no, you know, their guard comes down and they're just who they are, you know. And I think that's where particularly students or younger dancers have an opportunity to feel valued and have a responsibility in what they're doing. And then they become better artists much more quickly than AI robots.
Yeah, I think dance choreography has to be one of those occupations that's safe from AI. I hope it is.
I don't know though. You
think a computer could like...
Well, I mean, like, you can write down dance, and you can create dance. The dancer goes stage right and does this, and so forth. So I could definitely see.
It still would be hard for...
I think it would be hard, but I bet someone's out there trying it already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have 17 dancers.
17 dancers.
They are not all dance majors.
No.
And some people might think that would be the case. What are some of the majors that you
let's see.
have featured?
There's childhood education.
Child development.
Child development education.
You said civil engineering?
There's a civil engineer. And believe it or not, these are all double majors. I mean,
okay.
They're just not majoring in just, they're like, and some of them are like, my parents said that I need to do something serious. So they're an engineer, a civil engineer, excuse me. And then, but I really want to be in the studio moving. So they start out, some of them start out like just with classes, and then they're a dance minor. And then all of a sudden, I want to hand in this paperwork to be a dance major. And then sometimes the university says no, because they have too many units and they're going to be here too long. So we find ways to make that work.
Find ways to do it.
Yes.
So the title of this show is Stability Change.
Yeah.
What are you trying to get at with that?
Just kind of, sometimes when we start warm up or start class, we, as a group, take kind of inventory of like, geez, my hamstring is hurting today, or, you know, it took me like 17 minutes to find a parking place, and now I'm like this, and you know, and we try to find ways to disassociate from all that so that you can get your mind and your brain on the same page so that you can actually be a human being and just be instead of forcing yourself, you know. So stability change is just like we're constantly, and I think more than ever, constantly inundated with whether it's real or not, stability. And then next thing you know, you're thrown for a loop, and you got to contend with it, and somehow you have to succeed, and somehow you have to get back to where you were, but you're better at that point than when you were before. So there's this constantly, and in the process, often people are never satisfied with where they are, and sometimes you just have to be aware. Like, we just had a warm-up class, and everyone's like excited about, okay, we're in dress rehearsal tonight. And so there's a little bit of nerves, but the more nervous they are, the less out of their brain and body the connection suffers. So we did a warm-up specifically trying to reconnect those things. And it's really interesting to see the dancers and their personalities and their outlook before class and after. And after class, I was much more assured that everything was going to go well tonight, as opposed to before class, where people were all over the place and worried and kind of over-energized and just reacting to all the changes going on.
So we don't have much more time,
Sure.
But I want to ask you, what can dance do better than all the other art forms out there, or all the other entertainment options?
I think I'm going to answer this. I think dance should do less.
Okay.
Because people get really, I call it baggage, but people get baggage. I mean, I don't know how many millions of times I've been told, I'm not a dancer, I have 2 left feet. And I'm like, well, who told you that? And it's like usually like a 2nd grade teacher or a parent when they're 9. And here's this person who's gone the rest of their life thinking they can't dance. And for me, I have such a ridiculously open definition of dance. I mean, like, you look around, look at this guy, he's swaying back and forth, and that's the groove that, we all are that way. Our hearts are beating, our lungs are expanding and contracting. We're in movement, and that's dance.
We all dance.
We all dance, but we get the baggage of like, what is dance, what is proper dance, what is improper dance, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. Oh, I can't do that,
right.
But yeah, you probably could.
Yeah.
So less.
I love that answer. That's a great answer. You run from February 14th, February 22nd.
Yep.
John Wright Theater.
Yep. 7:30 shows, except for the Sunday, which is a matinee, 2 o'clock. And of course, the theater is dark on a Monday.
And I'm sure that you would agree with me when I say that this is something that people should experience.
Yeah, they should give it a shot.
Give it a shot. It's something different.
And you know what? I always get feedback from people who were very apprehensive. And sometimes here, students come because the instructor gives them an assignment.
Yeah.
And usually they're a little reticent to actually, I have to be here, And then by intermission, they're like, wow, this is really fun,
Well, Kenneth, thank you for stopping by and talking with us. I will let you get back to rehearsal.
Thank you.
And now we're here with Farjan Dersimonian, who is the director of the Armenian Museum of Fresno. Did I get that right?
You got it right on.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
And thank you for inviting me.
We're kind of experimenting with the show tonight. We took it on location. We thought it'd be fun to do it here at
Great
Fresno
to
State.
be around the mountains, right? Back to Fresno State, why not?
So, not everyone knows that Fresno has an Armenian museum. Would you say that's the case?
Yes, you're right.
And tell us where is it?
It's located within the UC Center, University of California Center, across from Fashion Fair, on Shaw and Mariposa corners.
And one of the reasons we're talking to you tonight is that there was, how would you say it? There were ramifications of the LA fires that you don't even really think about, right? But you managed to land a show that was supposed to be in LA, but because of the fires, didn't have anywhere to go.
Correct. It was mid-January when I received a call from a friend of mine from Carmel. She said, Farjan, 2 artists are in Los Angeles area. They were going to have a show in Beverly Hills. Because of the fire, the owner of the gallery had suffered immensely, and we need help. And since she herself in Carmel was packed herself, her schedule, she says, could you please help? And that's what we end up having the art in Fresno.
And
That's
we're
a short
talking about
version.
an entire show.
Yes.
How many pieces?
64
64 pieces.
fine art painting of highest quality. Unexpected. I did not know what we were receiving. She says, Varjan, they are high-end quality. I'm helping them to frame it. And she had extensive collection from Italy, high-quality frames. She did it meantime. And while we were in the process, we had to move everything in our galleries to make room for these 64 paintings.
Now, these are paintings by two Armenian brothers.
Yes, two brothers who their whole life have been artists and have been shown throughout the world, in France, in Moscow, in London, in Austria. So I said to myself, my goodness, why not Fresno, right? So the pressure was on. Of course, we had to prepare the press releases, we had to prepare the publication, the mailing. It was stressful. It arrived last Monday, exactly a week before, at 9:30 a.m., two brothers, and we downloaded all the artwork and start displaying it. It was a challenge.
Tell us a little about their style. How do you describe their paintings?
Yes, I haven't seen it before, as I said. When I looked at it first, it's classical in style, very, sometimes I would say traditional, but unique in itself. It doesn't have any abstract sense. Some of them are, but it's, when you looked at it, in the early hours, I said, okay, what am I going to do? Because it's relatively different than what we normally see in Fresno. But I said, it's good that's different. Because here we are exposed to the art in Fresno, whatever we have, good or bad, doesn't matter. His is completely different. And I love to see that students or artists come and look at it because it has a different genre into it.
Would you describe the subject matter or the style as distinctly Armenian? Are there things that you can look at in a painting and say, yes, that's an Armenian
Not at
painting?
all.
Not at all.
Nothing I would say sticks out as an Armenian.
Okay.
Nothing. I've been around Armenian artists quite a lot of time, for 30 years, but these were nothing to say they were Armenian. The artists themselves are Armenian, but the art has nothing to do directly as an Armenian art. Nothing at all.
So tell
That's
us a
what
little.
kind of was nervous.
Yes. So tell us, you weren't really sure what you were getting,
Exactly.
right? So tell us a little bit more about the gallery where it was supposed to be. Where was that?
It was in Beverly Hills.
Beverly
Supposed to be
Hills,
Beverly
okay.
Hills, and of course didn't work out. And like, as I said, but we're lucky to have it in Fresno. Interestingly, earlier today we had an intern. First intern I had used to be your student. And I asked her, here's a 24-year-old young lady. I said, what do you think about the art? She says, I'm amazed. Here we are, two male brothers are painting this stuff, and most of them are women. That's what's portrayed on the paintings.
Interesting.
She says, normally you see men doing of woman vulgar art and so forth, nothing. There's a purity of the female character in there.
Yeah, you showed. I've seen some of them, and there's a kind of a timelessness, a sort of a transcendence.
Yes, exactly. You said
that
it
takes
correctly.
place.
And I was so pleased to see a young person viewing the art like that. There's a purity in the art. There's nothing that will stand out as think, gosh, I don't want to look at it. And now, last several days, I'm looking at the art. The more I look, the more I like it. Again, it was unexpected what to receive. It grows on you, as you'd say.
Do the brothers both work on the same piece, or do they do completely separate
They do
paintings?
completely separate, but they do same subject matter, different style.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
So you can actually compare and
Yes.
contrast.
And interestingly, Tamar, the owner of a gallery, she says, Varjan, sometimes like 3 o'clock in the morning, they're out there, they're painting. It's good to see that, to see the art being developed right in front of your eyes.
So tell us a little bit more about the Armenian Museum. I know that Measure P has been a boon for lots of cultural arts groups in Fresno. What are you planning to do? You got a substantial grant. How are you going to kind of ramp it up?
Yes, we had received grants, correct. Thanks to Measure P, this is possible. Otherwise, there's no way in a week of time you can do all the expenses, thanks God. They were very, very helpful. Measure P, I would say, is a blessing to the city. And yes, we did receive a substantial amount, and that will be used for the benefit of the community. We got two focuses. One of them to enhance the rotating exhibition as we do. Second, to promote the educational element that we have. As you may know, we have over 110 educational panels at the museum. You can spend any time between 5 minutes to 5 hours reading them. We share that with the students. Once a month, I go out to Kearney Mansion Park. They have the time travelers show that Fresno Historical Society put it. I'll take the educational panels with me to share with the students. That's again part of the program. And then the other element of it is it's going to be the new exhibition that we are in the process of right now preparing it. That will be the second section, or actually the end of the grant period, which will be focused on memories, who share in Armenian, which means memories in English, or English memories. That will be focused on capturing the history and the memory of the Valley Armenians, their experience, how they came, what did they experience, how did they contribute to the Valley, to be more interactive. So the students, all community-wide, they will enjoy to seeing it.
How many Armenian museums are there in the U.S.?
In the United States, there is one in Boston. There's a smaller one in Southern California. There's one in process of being built in Glendale, very much with the same concept we started 20-some years over here and ourselves. And I'd love to see this to become a permanent and solid museum. We've been around for 24 years. We started in 2001 with a small grant that we received, and since then we're developing gradually. Intent was obviously to have a capital campaign. Sadly, it was right in the middle of when Metropolitan Museum collapsed, so we had to take it down. As you know, the economy in 2008, 9, 10 was not the best. Right now, thanks to Measure P, I believe we're going to take the next step to make this more permanent exhibition, not exhibition, a museum that everybody can enjoy.
So this must have been a very exciting month for you. Had you ever dealt with an issue like this before, or a scenario in which you had to put up a show that
in
quickly?
a short period of time?
Yeah.
No. I have done it, of course, but as you know, you have to study the art, you have to recruit it, bring it in, study how to present it, but this was too much.
Just
but
a
it was
whirlwind.
Fantastic. And really, it was tense moment, but at the end of the day, as something comes out to its fruitness, you'll enjoy it. And I believe people will enjoy it too.
And it just reminds you, there's, of course, the fires were a tragedy, but there was like a little bit of a silver lining.
Yes.
That
and
emerged.
then I saw Tamara said, yeah, it's the loss to Los Angeles, but we gained it. Nothing, obviously, we're not happy that they lost that fire, but for us to have this kind of an exhibition, I think it's a quality. It's quality in its overall. It is museum quality. If you've been in Europe, you've been in those portrait galleries in London, this is nothing less than that. Honestly, it's very, very good. One of the classical paintings was the Prodigal Son. They had the paintings there, which is universal. The other was the Assumption of St. Mary. Those are huge paintings right there. These guys did it. Again, it's international art rather than just ethnic art.
Well, Varjan, I really appreciate you coming by and telling us about this, and we can get the word out, because it isn't there for very long.
Yes, it'll be ending February 28. We're open 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. Monday to Friday. Saturday, Sunday, we're closed because of the COVID. You see it now closes, but 5 days open is free. There's no charge. Bring in your family, your kids, and enjoy it. Really casually, however you want to, it's open. Again, from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. Monday to Friday till February 28, 2025.
Well, wonderful. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Before we go, I want to tell you about a couple of other events that are happening in February. We all know that February is a really busy month in the arts scene. The Selma Arts Center is offering the local premiere of a musical called Alice by Heart, which I'm really excited to see. That opens February 14th and runs through March 8th. The Fresno Philharmonic on February 15th and 16th is having a very special concert. They did a commission of a piece of music that is set to sort of the writings of Masamoto. And this will be a world premiere. This is getting national attention. Pretty big deal for the Philharmonic. And we can't forget the Rogue Festival, Fresno's beloved fringe festival, which takes over the Tower District for a couple weeks. That opens February 28th and runs through March 8th. whatever you do, I just encourage you to go out and experience culture and art in Fresno and do it live. Hope you have a great month, and we'll see you soon.